This is Religion in the News, sponsored by Wish TV, in cooperation with the Church Federation of Greater Indianapolis.
Good morning and happy holidays, Indianapolis. Welcome to Religion in the News. I'm Jeffrey Payne. Joining me today is Kiera Davis, Reginald Barney, and Gabrielle Campo. We have a great show for you today as our program is dedicated to the Wheeler mission. Stay tuned. The Christmas season is full of classic stories, from Charlie Brown to Miracle on 34th Street to It's a Wonderful Life. All of these stories have one thing in common: they're on the big screen. Today we focus on another classic story, not told on the big screen, but just as heartwarming. Wheeler Mission, located in downtown Indianapolis, is one gift that is available 365 days a year. Founded in 1893, Wheeler is the only and oldest continually operating ministry of its kind in the state of Indiana. Wheeler consistently provides food and shelter to the homeless, poor, and needy individuals in our city. And for the recipients of this blessing, it truly 'tis the season to be jolly.
Good morning. I'm Gabrielle Campo. My guest today is Jan Davidson. She's the Assistant Director at Higher Grounds. Good morning, Dan and Jan, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. And thanks for sharing the story about Higher Grounds and how you serve women. Can you tell us a little bit about your organization?
Well, it's a blessing to work for Wheeler Mission, and I am the Assistant Director of a High Ground program, and it is a 18 to 24 month program. So most of the ladies that come in are women that are probably from mid-40s to mid-50s. They've been trapped in addiction for quite a long time, and they start their phase off at the Center for Women and Children, which is on East Michigan Street, and they serve 60 days there. We're just trying to identify at that point if it's going to be a good fit for them. And then secondly, they're moved to the Higher Ground Center, which I direct, and they're there for a minimum of 7 months. And while they're in that phase of the program, it's kind of like having a part-time job and a part-time college schedule. They serve at our Wheeler Mission thrift store while they're there. They will attend classes from about 9 to 11 in the morning. They have a very, very strict schedule in all phases of the program. They will then progress to the third phase of the program, and that sends them back to the Center for Women and Children. And by the time they get to the fourth phase, we're trying to identify and help them see some direction for their life. And so they can choose one of 3 tracks. They can either go into the servant leadership training track, which will help prepare them for ministry a little bit. They can go into the education track if they are looking to do something and get a job. For example, we partner with Second Helpings, and we've had several of our ladies go through their 10-week culinary training program, graduate, and we even have one that is currently our assistant cook at Wheeler Mission. And then the last thing they can do, if some of them may already have a degree or some kind of training already under their belt and they're prepared to get a job, then they can go into the job track. And what we'll do there is help them with their resume, help them with interviewing, and then help them get a job. And by the time they complete the whole process with us, we want to make sure that they have safe, affordable housing, that they have a good support system, and that they are connected with our aftercare program.
Wow. So the beginning, a woman may come in, she's struggling with addictions, and you then transform her entire life after a 4-phase cycle.
Yes, it's a blessing to be used by God to do that. I remember I was here about a year, and our CEO, Rick Alvis, had mentioned at one of our all-staff meetings that we measure our success by changed lives. And so it's not a matter of how many people we hurt in the door or how many meals we serve, although we do keep those statistics, but to see somebody's life change and God used you to impact them is wonderful.
That is. It is wonderful to see, because you see those women's lives are changing, but you know, addiction affects their families and their surrounding circles, and you're changing their lives too. Do you see that ripple effect come into fruition? Yes, the first phase of the program, they're not allowed to have any kind of visitations. By the time they get to the second phase, we want to begin to do some kind of family reconciliation with them. So if they have children, we'll start to introduce visitations on a rotating schedule. We also want to look at some of the bridges that they may have burned with their moms, their dads, their children, and see if God is going to open up some of those opportunities so we can do some reconciliation. So that takes place, and it's really a joy to be able to see a mom reunited with their children, or a parent, you know, open up their arms again to their child. Wow. Do you find that being a faith-based organization, that cornerstone really is a springboard for their transformation?
Absolutely. I myself am an ex-addict, and I know that recovery comes from the foot of the cross. So we base everything around Jesus Christ, and if it weren't for the Lord, then I don't think that it would be any permanency to what they're trying to do with their lives. Everything that we teach is going to be centered around the Bible, whether it be addiction recovery classes, life skill classes, if it's just some basic, anything that they need to learn, we want to use the Bible as the basis.
Wow. And if a woman or some family member knows that their woman and their family needs assistance, is it self-referral or do they come to you on their own? How does that work?
By several avenues. Often we have past graduates. They are a great advertisement for us. So we always have past graduates that are out in the community talking about the Higher Ground Addiction Recovery Program and just Wheeler Mission as a whole. So we get referrals that way. We get referrals from the jail system as well. We often just get some cold calls where people have found our name in the phone book. They know Wheeler's reputation and they're looking for some help. And so we get a chance to invite them in.
Wow. And so if a woman that you know is in need, then they would go to Wheeler Mission and then refer to your program and start that beginning stage.
Yeah. Initially, I might walk up to Wheeler Mission and I would be involved in the emergency shelter program, which is a 30-day program.
Okay.
And so if I haven't been referred by somebody else, that's where I'm probably going to start. And while I'm in that 30-day emergency program, I'm going to meet with a case manager repeatedly over a couple of weeks. And after that 2-week period, hopefully I'm going to make a decision for some long-term help and be ushered into the long-term addiction recovery program.
Wow. And I know that you've served, the Changing Lives is the end goal, but you serve about 60 women about a year?
Yeah, probably about 50 to 60 women a year that will come through our doors. They don't all stay. That first phase of the program is probably one of the major phases where we see the attrition rate is very high,
yeah,
where people are going to leave because they're just not ready.
Yeah.
I always ask them in our interviews, Psalms 107:27 says they staggered to and fro until they were at their wits' end,
yeah,
and then they cried out to the Lord who delivered them from their distresses. So if they're not at their wits' end, they're probably not going to stay.
Well, and if they do stay, I think by the grace of God and your support, they will change their lives and change the family lives. So.
Yes, absolutely.
Jan, thank you so much for joining our show today and all the ministry that you're doing, especially during this holiday season. It's giving the hope to women each day. So thank you for being that light.
Yes.
Enjoy. Now, Kiara, back to you.
Thanks, Gabrielle. Good morning. I'm Kiara Davis. Coming up next, my guest talks about his experience with Wheeler Mission Ministries. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Religion in the News. My guest today is Brian Crispin. He is a development associate for Wheeler Mission. Welcome to Religion in the News.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about your role as a development coordinator. Let's talk about that and how did you get started in the field?
Yeah, I've worked with development for a couple years now.
Okay.
Basically, we have a team of people at Wheeler Mission that help do fundraising activities. So we have a couple fundraisers each year. One that just came and went during Thanksgiving called the Drumstick Dash, where we had about 15,000 people running in Broad Ripple.
Wow, so that sounds
raised,
like fun.
Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun. And that's our 9th year, so we raised a good amount of money for Wheeler Mission during that time. We also have another fundraiser in the summertime called the Camp Out to Stamp Out Homelessness, which is in June. And that's a camp out down in American Legion Mall. And that's an activity where a group of people come down and we camp out overnight right there in the middle of downtown, and we raise awareness about homelessness.
Wow.
And raise awareness about Wheeler Mission. So that's the one of the activities we do.
So as far as funding, what type of things would you all need funding for?
Oh yeah, well, our budget right now is about $7 million, a little over $7 million. We have 5 residential locations for homeless men, women, and children. We also have programs for people that are in addiction, people that need to find jobs and housing. So we need funding for all of that. So donations are always appreciated. But we also need clothing. We have people that are living in our facilities that are going through long-term programs. Some of them came in with the clothes on their back.
Wow.
So they need clothes, items like toothpaste, soap, shampoo, those items to get them through the time. So. And
are these items often donated, or do you all typically have to go out and buy the items with your funds?
No, actually most of it's donated. A lot of the food is donated, and we have some other organizations we work with to get the food necessary to feed. Right now we're feeding about 1,000 people every single night. or day. So we do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So donated items are coming in for us to cook with, but also the clothing is all donated that comes in. So we have a lot of people that step up to help us do what we do.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, you mentioned something about addictions. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Right.
What is the addictions program about, and how do you reach individuals in that area?
Right. Most people come in as homeless. They come in through our front doors and they just need a place to stay. But when they come there, a lot of times they'll stay for an extra night or two, and we'll get them in front of case managers and assess their need. And a lot of people are battling drug addictions, alcohol addictions in our community. So once we assess that, we have long-term programs for those people to live in our facility and go through just the measures that are necessary to get out of that. First thing we do is we preach them the gospel every single night. Everyone that comes to our facility goes through chapel, and they hear the word, and they hear the truth about Jesus Christ. And it's up to them to make a decision at that point, but we do present that. But all of our addictions programs for men and women are gospel-based. We don't do anything except preach the word, and then we talk about ways for them to battle their addiction, get out of addiction, and come out on the other side of it as people that are free. So.
Now, with this program, what is the success rate like? I mean, do you have a lot of people that end up getting off the drugs or whatever their addictions may be,
Right.
or do you have a lot of people backsliding in those areas?
Well, on the men's side, I'll talk about it a little bit. We've had hundreds of people graduate our men's addictions program. It's a one-year program, but there's a second-year program where guys can stay on, and many do, and they go through a program called servant leadership training, and that is an opportunity to come back, give back to people that are in the program currently, give back to Wheeler Mission as well, and get training in order to be in addictions ministry. A lot of people take advantage of that, and the success rate in that is phenomenal. Right, just last week we had a prayer breakfast for alumni of our program. We had 50 men that graduated our addictions program come back on a Saturday morning,
Wow.
have breakfast together, sharing the word together, share prayer together,
That's good.
and just celebrate the fact that not only are we celebrating Jesus' birth during Christmas time, but we're celebrating the fact that what he did for us made us free in Christ. So it's pretty amazing to see those guys come back. Oh yeah.
That's awesome. Now, how do you tend to reach most of your homeless people? I mean, you know, we see a lot of people out with the signs on the street. Do you have an outreach program that get those individuals, or how do you deal with
Right.
the homeless people that you come across on a daily?
Well, what a lot of people don't understand or realize is that a lot of people that are out there doing panhandling are not homeless. Those are men that probably have a place to go at night, but they're needing money, looking for money. So with our outreach teams that we work with, they go out into the streets and find people that are under bridges, sleeping there. Some of them are in desperate need of help, and they'll explain that, hey, there is organizations that can help you.
Wow.
So they bring them to the doors, and then that way we can give them the professional help that they need. There's a lot of mentally ill that are out there. And when it's cold like this, it's very dangerous for them to be on the streets.
Exactly.
So yeah, we work with a lot of outreach teams that are out there desperately looking for people that need to come inside and get out of the elements.
Well, I would like to thank you so much for coming on our show and just sharing a little bit about the Wheeler Missions with us. And I just wish you all continued success in your program,
Yeah,
your
thank
ministry.
you. Thank you.
Now back to you, Reggie.
Thanks, Kiara. Good morning. I'm Reginald Barney. Coming up next, we will talk to the man behind the mission. Stay tuned.